There was an old farmer who lived on a rock. He sat in the meadow just shaking his fist at some boys who were down by the creek. Their feet in the water, their hands on their marbles and playthings, and at 4:30 there came a young lady. She looked like a pretty young creature. She sat on the grass. She pulled up her dress and she showed them her ruffles and laces and white fluffy duck. She said she was learning a new way to bring up her children so they would not spit, while the boys in the barnyard were shoveling refuse and litter from yesterday's hunt, while the girl in the meadow was rubbing her eyes at the fellow down by the dock. He looked like a man with a sizable home in the country with a big fence out front. If he asked her politely, she'd show him her little pet dog who was subject to fits, and maybe she'd let him grab hold of her small tender hands with a movement so quick, and then she'd bend over and suck on his candy so tasty made of butterscotch, and then he spread whipped cream all over her cookies that she had left out on her shelf. If you think this is dirty, you can go yourself.
And now, the man who can charm a chicken into deep frying itself, your host, Dominic DeMarco.
Alright, I gotta go in place right now because I have to go into the settings. Using my I'm trying. Alright, I'm gonna call you right now. Just give me a moment because I got something planned tonight. Lee.
Hello?
Lee.
Yeah.
Alright, as we're talking, I'm listening to the playback on my smartphone so I can make sure all the volumes are good.
Cool. Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you very much, my friend.
Anything happened that day there?
No, not really.
Would you sleep?
Wait, hold on. Just keep talking.
Nah, I said, would you do sleep that day or something? Like just chill out and sleep? Or what? So I might not, my playback might not be that great. Something's up with my phone.
Oh.
And my voice is still kind of shot. So, sorry.
No, it's understandable. No, as we're talking, I'm actually listening to the playback. It's like a 7-second delay. I just want to make sure all the volumes are good because I went over this on Friday, and I'm talking about 45 minutes. So, but it sounds good.
All right. I'll try not to cough as much. I'm sorry. I'm popping, freaking out.
Yeah. Lee just went off again. Alright, that'll have to do it for now. We're not equal, but it's as best as I can make it for an amateur thing. But alright, so Lee.
What happened?
I don't know, it just said
Hello?
Spreaker went out. Lee?
Oh, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Um, all right. So yeah, I went over this for about 45 minutes on I think Friday over all the vines. There's even it. I even did like a show a little bit of just me checking volumes, and it's actually on the website if you want to listen to it. But my point is that I went over everything. I went over, like, I even Skyped myself and just went over that, went over audio, sound effects, just everything, trying to get this thing perfect.
So, were you happy with your test runs and art, a little bit of research and development there?
It's as good as I can get for being amateur, but look, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
No, I understand.
So, but anyway, thank you very much for wishing me a happy birthday. Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was the birthday that I wanted to have, which was just me, my girlfriend, and our dog in our apartment. That's really what I want. Because first of all, I actually like getting older. A lot of people don't mind it or actually have a problem with it. I like it. I, I don't know. I hate being young. But I'm
That's the first.
35, so I'm not that young anymore.
Yeah, but you're not that old either, man.
True. But so the first half of the day, my family came over to my apartment for a little bit, which was just my mom and my sister and her family, and just like a little like, hi, how you doing type of thing. And then afterwards, my girlfriend and I, we got some good dinner from a restaurant, hung out, just had like a really nice time. So, but the thing is though, I don't mind getting older. What I do mind is celebrating my birthday. You know what I mean?
I do. I do. I think a lot of people, after their, probably their 21st, or maybe even their 25th, they just say, fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
and the other thing too is like, I'm not really good with all the attention on me, even though it sounds contradicting because I made a show, but it's like this is your day and you get all the presents. That's not me. I'm more into Christmas, and then the other thing is that I'm not really good with presents. So, and it's like the fancier the presents, the more depressed I get because I mean, I live in a nice neighborhood right now. I from 14 on, I lived in a nice suburban house. I got a nice apartment now. But for the first 14 years, we kind of grew up poor in Northeast Philly. I mean, we had food stamps. My mom worked one or two jobs. I forget. So I'm not
it
really.
wasn't easy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we had food and all. Don't get me wrong. My mom sent us, all three of us, me, my brother, my sister, to Catholic school, which costs a pretty penny. But um, just I'm just not good with fancy stuff. Like, for example, my girlfriend brought me a laptop for Christmas because she knows I hate my other one, and the one I'm using now for the show is much easier. There's no struggle. But when she gave it to me, it was like a punch in the stomach.
So why?
Just because it's so fancy. I'm not good with that type of stuff. Um,
So,
go
well,
ahead.
let me ask you this. So let's say that your wish of taking this show to a progressive level where money is no longer an issue. We can say, well, I mean, in my case, if I can quit my day job
Yeah.
and devote myself to this, and we have financial means where you can pretty much buy anything you want, you would have a hard time buying a car or something that's a little bit more.
I would because here's the thing. All right, here's an example. In '98, I bought myself. I paid for it all myself. A '99 Jeep. I bought it in December of '98. It was brand new. It only had 10 miles on it. It was beautiful, nice, like a hunter green color. The thing was gorgeous. I tried to drive it around for a couple of months to get used to it. I couldn't get used to it because it was so beautiful and fancy. I took handfuls of dirt and rubbed them into the carpets just to dirty it up a little bit. I can't handle it. I have a what is it? A 32-inch I think flat screen TV that I got a year ago. I'm still not used to it. It's just too fancy for me. But like I get excited with a brand new a brand new pair of sweatpants, or something like that. A new T-shirt. Like, to me, that's like gold.
So you're very simple about things.
I am. I'm very, very simple. I don't know. I just can't get into it. So, with the whole birthday thing, it was nice. We had like a nice dinner and everything, but it wasn't presents and all that stuff. Um, but no, I mean, as far as making money with the show, it goes along the lines with me being obsessed with winning the lottery, which is, it's not for greed. It's just for financial stability.
Agreed.
Yeah, I want to win the lottery, or have a nice income in from the show, to have a nice house, take care of my girlfriend, not to buy Ferraris and Porsches and all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, see, I'm a car guy, so I probably would go out and get one or two nice cars. I probably would, like, have them and then, give them up or donate them somewhere or something like that. But yeah, I think I would buy one car, like one very nice car that I've always had a bit of a hard on for, and just keep it till it doesn't run anymore.
What kind of car do you want?
Everybody picks on me for it, but a Bentley GT Continental, a Flying Spur Continental, which is just a 4-door Bentley. But if you get the GT version, it has like all the amenities of a sports car. Well, they're Bentley, so they're all sports cars. Yeah. But it's a 4-door and it's nice and it's clean and it's a cool car. Like, I mean, I never owned one, but I drove a couple before, but not very far, of course. They're customers' cars, but they're still nice and comfy. And fuck, you can just go to sleep in one of them if you really wanted to. The seats are that comfortable. And it's so.
Are they easy to handle? I've only seen them on TV, so I don't know the different models.
Yeah, they're really easy to handle. It depends on, like I said, if you buy that particular one, it has a little bit more of an aggressive suspension. So if you ever own the sports car, people who own them will all say the same. Like, it's not the softest suspension, but remember, it's built to be. It's fast. It's a fast 4-door. It's not the fastest 4-door, but considering it's relatively fast, it's a little bit heavy. They're all-wheel drive, so that adds more weight. But they're nice cars. I mean, is it the best 4-door you can buy? No, but something about the simplicity behind it and how nice they are. I just like them. I would still buy one of that year production date if it was, 15 years down the line.
Yeah, I mean, you got to treat yourself.
Right.
If you got the money.
So, right. Like, I mean, even today, like, remember that car I was talking about trying to get the little Volvo or whatever?
Yeah.
I decided to back off that because I wanted to get back to the fundamental thing that actually made me happy. Because over the weekend, before I got sick off my ass, which was a nightmare, by the way.
Yeah. Are you better? Are you getting better?
Slowly but surely, yeah. I mean, my voice is starting to come back. The coughing, it's going away slowly but surely. But over the weekend, I happened to be going through some stuff, and I found a 1990, and this is going to make people laugh, a 1993 Lexus GS 300, which back then was like a sweet-ass car.
Yeah.
And I found one that's actually has, which is, you'll be shocked by this, has 60,000 miles on it.
Wow. That's,
so it's 20 years old, has 6,000 miles on it.
That's
compared,
kind of sort of brand new.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it.
No. Yeah, I mean, it's been garage kept, and I got a steal for it. Paid $2,800 for it.
Oh, you bought it?
Oh yeah, I bought it already.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah, it's my favorite color. It's like a dark forest green color. The interior obviously is beige, but I'm eventually change that out to all black.
Okay.
And the reason I really bought it is because a year later, Toyota produced, which I'm sure you're aware of, was the Toyota Supra.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been around before that, but the particular motor that came out of that era, was basically a V8 ass kicker.
Oh, okay.
So if built correctly, if took into the right people, you can have that same motor out of the factory produce well over 1,000 horsepower, and it looks completely like a family car until some asshole decides to line up with you and you kick his ass. So that's why I really bought it, because it's going to be intended to be a sleeper when I'm done with it. So about a year and a half when the project ends, and it should be done.
So is your car your Lexus? So you own a Lexus right now?
I currently own a Lexus, yeah.
Is
Like I said,
that
I'm used to having BMWs and
yeah?
Audis and things like that. But I wanted to get back to the grassroots of what got into, which was Japanese cars.
Is your Lexus that you own right now a car or an SUV?
Oh, it's a car.
Oh,
It's
okay.
yeah. It's actually the same size. Um, it's actually the same width and size as the well, not the width, but at least the length almost of the I guess the LS generation of that same era, like the body style.
Yeah.
Just a little bit shorter, but not that much shorter. And they didn't have like some of these newer body, vehicles are smaller and nimble and all that stuff. But this particular one, I don't like it because one, it's one of the many cars that was still manufactured in Japan, so all the components are still Japanese. A little hard to find parts, of course.
Did you christen it yet?
Huh? Oh no, I gotta wait for that. I got a name for it though.
What's your name for it?
Rogue.
What is it?
The car's name is Rogue.
Oh, Rogue. Okay, I thought you said N Rogue.
No, just Rogue.
Why do you name it like Django or something?
Because Django would have been totally not fitting for that car.
What color is it?
And plus, not to mention, dude, the backlash that movie's getting is not even close to funny.
I finally watched the whole thing the other night.
Yeah, I didn't want to ruin it for you.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's so detailed or if Quentin Tarantino exaggerated everything, but I can tell you, if I was a white guy back in that time, I couldn't own slaves. That's horrible what they did.
Yeah, and a lot of people, and again, I don't know if anybody's listening who's seen it, but I can at least say this much. If you're not a big fan of graphic details, don't watch that fucking movie. That's all I gotta say.
There's a lot of blood in it.
There's a lot of blood in it. And Quentin's like that, but today, oddly enough, they had, I listen to a lot of talk radio just because I like listening to talk radio over music sometimes because, good topic discussion, but one of the radio stations I listen to is actually on Temple's campus, and they were talking about that. In light of, President Barack Obama's inauguration, I think it's next week or this week or something like that.
Right.
I don't know how the hell that came into play over the conversation, but it did. And I guess one of the topics of discussion on the forum was if a black director, well-established director, male or female, would have made that movie in the same context.
Yeah.
One, would have gone straight to DVD, and two, if it would have made it into the theater, would that individual have been ridiculed beyond belief? And so many people, I swear to God, lit that fucking board up so bad.
Way to fortify the progression of the accusations to witness the testimony of the contribution and turnaround in the name of Jesus Christ.
All right.
So basically, and a lot of people are like, so one person who, well-established, writer, basically said that, if a well-established writer, like if a well-established director like Spike Lee or, I can't think of anybody else who would be that not saying raunchy, but I guess that ballsy.
Yeah. Well, that's what it is, it's ballsy.
Yeah, I'll say ballsy is a proper term because, but, and then people keep forgetting, too, that it wasn't fully intendedly written and directed by Quentin. There was a massive, I'm going to say massive, but it was a bunch of, people involved behind the production.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and I was thinking, like, in my opinion, I don't know. I don't think he would have gotten any more ridiculed than he's starting to get now. But, nobody busted his balls when fucking Inglourious Basterds came out.
Well, let me ask you this. I know I can't ask you if you would be a slave owner because, you're a black guy. But in the movie, if you were born back then, would you, or do you think you could have been the same type of guy that Samuel L. Jackson played in it, which was an Uncle Tom, in a sense?
His character was kind of like Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I'll be real with you. I mean, it's kind of hard to place myself in that. Because it's like, looking at it from the outside perspective now, because, we were luckily enough to be born in a different generation.
Right.
It's hard to say, oh, yeah, well, if that were me back then, I would have did A, B, and C. But then again, you got to look at the fundamental fact. And of course, there's always going to be double sides to that topic.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, I don't know. I really wouldn't know how to handle it because like I take my situation now where I'm such a, I'm kind of laid back, but I don't always respond to everybody's requests for certain things very easily either. Like I will question the shit out of things.
Yeah.
So I don't, and back then, and me naturally, I like to learn shit. If not on my own, I'll try to investigate or at least get some insight from someone else about a topic that I don't know much about. And even then, I'll still do my fair share of research because I don't want to be in a conversation with somebody and talk about something based on what I heard, and then it turns out that I'm, first of all, look like an idiot because I'm repeating what I heard, and two, my facts aren't straight either. So it's one of those things where, like, if somebody, because I've had that question posed to me before when I was young.
Would you ever be an Uncle Tom?
No, would I ever survive in that era of when slavery was, still a big deal?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, it's like a thing you don't know until you're at that.
Yeah, and I mean, and of course you're going to have that left wing or whatever you want to call them, people saying, oh, well, there's people in different countries who still utilize, slavery in every aspect of what it's worth, and that might be true, and I think everybody historically in every race, almost every race, I think, has been through that situation. I mean, I think between Native American and African American, that's probably well most documented one. But I'm almost willing to bet there's because you see it now, even in today's society with take the Asian culture for instance. There's still people being brought into this country by their families who are still working off debts and loans for the import.
Yeah.
And they're working it off. They're working it off in various ways. I mean, I can't say, oh yeah, they work at a mom and pop store, or they work at a at a local franchise or whatever, but they're paying it off somehow. I mean, if you want to, so you can classify that as slavery, modern day slavery, if you want.
I think the Asians should start working at the Colgate factory because they all have stinky breath.
Oh my god!
Did you ever get up to them, like really close?
Nope.
No, and they could take the paint off of anything.
No, that's funny. No.
I dealt with them for years.
What's up?
I mean, I did when I worked at my stepdad used to have a construction shop. So we would have to, go out and meet different customers. And we were in Northeast Philly, where it's a ghetto, a lot of Asians and stuff. So you'd have to go out to these different customers. And geez Louise, every time one of them opens up their mouth, it's like a punch in the face.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's horrible.
It's like halitosis on fucking, like, level 9.
Absolutely. It's like DEFCON 4.
Oh, wow.
But
that's funny.
But yeah, when I was watching Django, I always thought, like, when I picture slaves, I thought of two things. One, they're all in the cotton fields, and two, some of the slave owners are having sex with the slaves. But the thing that stood out to me in Django was they were all chained up in almost the beginning, and they were walking at nighttime, kind of like in shackles.
Yeah.
And the one guy said, well, you can turn around and walk the other way 37 miles. So I'm thinking that these guys walk 37 miles half naked at nighttime in the winter in shackles.
Yeah, and again, there's you're going to get those historic, those people who are historians in theory who will always question the logic behind that. Again, I'm not one to challenge it because if it's one thing that you'll hear, especially with like different nationality and cultures, especially the African American community.
Yeah.
And again, I see some adults' perspectives, clear as day, when they say some generations, like my current generation or the one behind me and the one behind that, they lose sight of the history.
Yeah.
But in theory, like I said, between it's like, how do I say it in the nicest way possible?
Just spit it out, man. This is the show to do it. You just spit it out.
In my opinion, I try not to get into the details of it because my attitude on the subject is it was fucked up how it went down, period.
Yeah.
So if someone of a different nationality wants to depict their impression of what they thought might have took place back then another person from the same culture can't chime in and say, no, that's not what happened. That's like somebody challenging a Bible and saying that's not how it happened. Like when that fucking movie came out, Passion of Christ, they ripped Mel Gibson a new one.
Right.
And there was people like who were historic. But in my attitude, I look at it in the same context because look at it like this: people fail to fucking realize, and this is not on the same subject as Django, but in theory it is. You have a Bible. It's the only religious book to this date that has more, I guess, remakes and renditions than any other religious book that's out there. Two, people also forget to realize that it's written by a man or a woman. So at that point in time, you gotta look at it like this. You're somewhere in the middle of the world. There's no TV. There's no fundamental, there's no form of news. And somehow you documented events. And now you got people coming out the woodwork now saying, oh, certain events have taken place. But it also indicates that some events should have been, how do we say, this should have continued to happen over and over again, but yet don't produce any evidence that they happened.
Did they have slavery in Africa?
I'm sorry?
Did they have slavery in Africa?
They still do now.
Oh, but they did back then in like the Django time?
I believe so. They had kings and queens, and I'm sure they had what people refer to slaves or servants, but yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know if it was at the degree of, how Americans did it to, people they brought over, because remember, somebody, people made, comedians, black comedians, white comedians, whatever, all poke fun at it. Like Dave Chappelle did it. A lot of people poke fun at the subject of how it all worked or how they thought it might have went down. But in theory, it was a straight up kidnapping, in my opinion. You just don't voluntarily say, hey, blah, 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 blah. Like you're talking to it's like when America was founded. Christopher Columbus, whether or not he came here and just said, hey, A, B, and C, there's always going to be a rendition. Like you had the Mayflower edition of how America was founded, and then you have the rape and pillage version.
Well, if I was a slave owner back then in the Django years, I probably would have been a beloved slave owner because I wouldn't have made them, walk at night in their bare feet such a long distance. I would have been like, yeah, go out in the cotton fields, pick some cotton, let me know if you guys want a drink or something like that. They would have been more like employees, but not slaves.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, remember though, back then, the mind, because you're thinking about the modern mindset of now versus what you would have did back then.
I guess.
So if you think about it, because I see what you're saying, I'm sure there were some people who did that who probably thought on the same wavelength as you do, where they didn't want to, because they realize they're people, and at the end of the day, they're still people. Call them what you will. Yeah. And some people thought that. There was even this historical fact that even some owners, didn't even like it. It was that politically social thing, where it's like you have the money, you have this, make them do it. Like that whole thing about, how they say, and again, they say like Mexicans will take the jobs that nobody else will.
Yeah.
It's not that they won't take the jobs nobody else will. It's that they fundamentally look at it like, look, I'm getting paid. Why are you bitching?
Well, here's the thing. A lot of Americans are too spoiled to take the jobs that Mexicans want here. And
from what I've seen, they fucking kill it. They fucking kill it.
Mexicans?
Yeah, like certain.
Oh yeah, they take great pride in their work.
They're good at it, and it's not even on that stereotypical shit. Like you can label them and shit and say, oh yeah, you give them a landscaping business, they'll fucking make your lawn look like this, or you give them blah blah blah. But ultimately, it's the work ethic,
right?
If
I'm a business owner and I got some stingy, uptight American who thinks he's too good for whatever, that wants $1 million an hour to paint a garage, and I got some Mexican who's enthused to do it.
For like, and he's willing to take it for like $100.
Yeah,
She's going to hire his ass, and he's going to be good at it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'll pay him.
Yeah, he's hired.
And on top of that, if he's that good, you'll probably give him more jobs because 1, persistency, 2, he did a good job, and 3, he didn't really need that much instruction. Except A, B, and C, do that, done, finish, done.
You know it. Listen, most Italian restaurants have Mexicans in the back making their food. It's not Italians though; it's Mexicans. And most Taco Bells have black people making their food, which means if you befriend a black guy working at Taco Bell, guess what? Free Taco Bell.
And then bitches come out perfect, motherfucker.
Exactly. I love Taco Bell. It's my second favorite food.
I stopped fast food, man, for a while. I think I'm just going to fucking back off it entirely.
Life's too short. You got to do what makes you happy.
Yeah, well, fucking eating the burrito and then going, my stomach is not really my idea of happiness.
Well, I'm coming off of Subway on Saturday. I'm still feeling the effects of that Subway. It blows.
Yo, Subway is... I never really had a problem with Subway, and then, and then you realize where the food... I mean, I guess everybody's like that, but then you realize where the food comes from. You're like, oh, that makes fucking sense. Yeah. Dude, I was on the way to work today, and there's a Subway literally about 2 blocks from my house. I saw that Cinco truck out front, which is a big manufacturing food distribution company that sells and produces food. Mm-hmm. Most of it's processed beyond belief, and they drop it off in a big bundle on pallets, and they wheel it in, and you do your thing, and then ta-da, fresh, whatever you want to call this.
Exactly. But listen, hold that thought. I gotta take the break. When we come back, I want to get to a couple of things. I want to get to the Golden Globes, and I also want to call a psychic on the air. So stick with us, and we'll be right back in about 1 minute.